Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And we see them. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the the Lakers, and I'm going to give you guys a quick playoff preview here. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as y'all know, it's a pretty big night in the NBA, particularly for some teams trying to get into the play-in. One of those matchups is going to be between the Minnesota Timberwolves, who inexplicably decided to suspend Rudy Gobert. I don't understand why they would do something like that, but whatever. And the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, going into this game, there's going to be a lot of hype. A lot of people are going to be very interested in this game, but I think the majority of people out there feel that the Lakers are going to win this game, including me. I think the Lakers are going to be victorious in this game. Now, yesterday, when they were talking about potential first-round matchups on various shows, one of the shows that discussed this was ESPN First Take. And on this particular segment, you had Stephen A. Smith and, of course, Kendrick Perkins. And they were talking about a range of things. But then it got to a particular point where Stephen A. Smith had kind of like a monologue where he gave his thoughts on what he felt the outcome was going to be between the Lakers potentially facing the Memphis Grizzlies in round one, because if the Lakers win this game tonight, they're going to be locked in at the 7th spot, and they're going to be facing the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the probably the number 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the 1 plays the 8, the 2 plays the 7, exactly the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. And when it got to the moment where he had to give his kind of prediction on it, I was very, very surprised to hear Stephen A. Smith essentially say the unpopular thing by basically picking the Memphis Grizzlies to knock out the Lakers in round one. But before we get into his comments, this video is brought to you by our sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's a sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith in terms of his argument, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what he had to say there.
We want to applaud the Lakers for what they have done this year. They've got a chance. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they don't have a chance. They got LeBron James, age 38, averaging 29 a game. Absolutely sensational. Wish he had played more games, but nevertheless, the bottom line is his greatness can't be questioned. We understand that. Hit some 3-pointers yesterday, hit about 8 of them. He was in his bag. He was in his groove. That's good for him. Anthony Davis showed up. We know what he's capable of when he's on the basketball court. And since the trade that ultimately led to them acquiring Beasley and D'Angelo Russell and Vanderbilt and these guys, they're the best team in the Western Conference at 18-9 since that trade. Okay, so we look at it from that perspective. Led the conference in defensive rating, ranked 3rd in the West in net rating. You look at all of these things, JJ Redick would appreciate those stats. The bottom line is we can't summarily dismiss the Los Angeles Lakers, what people can believe in them about. Well, we talk about the Memphis Grizzlies here. And I will admit that there is a cause to pause because Steven Adams is going to be out. Brandon Clark is going to be out. Those are 2 big individuals on your front line that provide a defensive presence that elevates Memphis. Without those guys, that's a tremendous, tremendous loss. I get it. Last time I checked, they got Ja Morant. And this brother is something special, and he's on a mission. And the Memphis Grizzlies, by the way, have never made the NBA Finals. And a lot of people, they've flown under the radar since the troubles with Ja Morant, since the troubles they were having before he got himself into what he got himself into, where they were struggling, they were a bit inconsistent up and down. But I look at Bane, I look at Dylan Brooks, I look at Ja Morant, I look at Jaren Jackson Jr. This is the problem with Jaren Jackson. He gets into foul trouble. I want everybody to understand that's the only problem. High character individual, elite defender, shot blocker, very mobile, can go onto the perimeter and defend. Obviously big enough to go up against the likes of Anthony Davis and others, not to mention the fact that he could put the ball in the hole. Jaren Jackson is big time. This is not a scrub. This is not an average or marginal player. He's big time, and he's coming. If he could find a way to get himself out of foul trouble, then let me be very, very clear to you, America. Memphis is no joke. I can't dismiss them, and I will remind y'all, Memphis is no joke.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say there. He believes that ultimately the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be the team that's going to be victorious over the Lakers this season. Now, for me, I think that this is something that's not going to make that's going to upset some NBA fans out there, because whether you like it or not, there are a lot of Laker fans, like, period, end of story. There are a lot of Laker fans. I know this when I was a Kobe Bryant fan, watching Kobe go play in different arenas, and there were always Laker jerseys sprinkled all throughout those arenas, right? Now, if we look at some of the rough kind of if we look at both teams, if we look at them, like, and we just give you a quick overview. If you look at the Memphis Grizzlies this year, their offensive rating, they're the number 15th rated team in terms of offense. Defensively, they're number 2. Okay, so they're pretty solid on the defensive side of the floor. If you look at the Lakers, they're the number 11th ranked defensive team and number 20th in offense. Now, there's something important to mention here, which is the Lakers, they became a much more improved defensive team after the moves that they made at the trade deadline. So the Lakers are actually a much better defensive team than this number indicates. Now, if we look at the best players in this series, some people may say is Anthony Davis, but some people may say is Ja Morant. Ja Morant is unguardable. He is unguardable. And the one question we don't have to ask about Ja Morant is his aggressiveness. Is he going to be aggressive on a nightly basis? In the case of the Lakers, Anthony Davis, we don't know if he's going to be aggressive every single night. I think Anthony Davis is going to be the biggest X factor for the Lakers in terms of how he plays, because I think right now he's their best player when he's on. When Anthony Davis is on and he's on top of his game, Anthony Davis is the Lakers' best player because he's their most unguardable player. There's no real matchup for him in terms of personnel out there and guys that could potentially guys out there that could potentially guard him. He is a real problem. Obviously, the Memphis Grizzlies have a big man in Jaren Jackson Jr., who's he's a pretty big guy. He can definitely anchor their defense. But I've heard that he has some issues with fouling too much and fouling out of games. So that may be something Anthony Davis may be able to exploit. And obviously the Lakers coaching staff will look to exploit, is to try to get him off the floor by getting him into, foul trouble early in the game. But to me, just looking at this matchup from a glance, I don't think it would be a huge upset if the Memphis Grizzlies beat the Lakers. Like, the Memphis Grizzlies are a very good team. They have been known to beat some very good teams, even when Ja Morant was not healthy. And they're very young. They're very confident. They don't care who they're facing. They're not going to sit there genuflecting that, oh, it's LeBron James. Those guys do not care. And guys like that, they're very, very hard to intimidate because they don't really care who you are. They're like, okay, I'm happy, we're good to see you, but we're coming for y'all. So I hope the Lakers are ready for that. I hope the Lakers don't think that, oh, these guys are going to be like ready to kiss the ring. I don't think those guys are going to do that at all. I expect those guys to do a lot of trash talking. There's been some very contentious games between these two teams. And I've seen LeBron get pretty upset playing against those guys and dunking all over those guys. So I think it's going to be a very, very entertaining series. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Memphis Grizzlies won, but I think the Lakers have a very, very good shot at beating them. So the question is simply this to you guys. Who do you think is victorious in this series? You think it's the Memphis Grizzlies, or do you think it's the Lakers? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll definitely catch you guys on the next episode.